Buongiorno tutti. My name is Guadalupe Torres from Veracruz, Mexico, and on behalf of my co-authors, Isaia Lee and Maritza Silva, I'm really pleased to present in this international conference, ICT for Language Learning, my paper entitled Proyecto Aula, English Learning Through Complex Tasks. As an introduction, let me tell you that the role of the universities in Mexico, as well as in the international context, is being constantly revised due to continuous changes in society. For this reason, the University of Veracruz, Universidad Veracruzana, has started different processes of transformation. One of them, called Proyecto Aula, mainly aims at promoting a task-based learning where teachers and students use complex thinking, research, and information and communication technologies as main tools. This project has been put into practice at all the faculties and centers of the university, including all the language centers and the self-access centers. A little bit of history. In July 2009, a group of teachers from different language centers of the University of Veracruz gathered for the first time to know about Proyecto Aula. Teachers studied and discussed the theory and philosophy of the project, as well as instructional design that best fits competence-based learning tasks. As a result, a very detailed process and methodology was built, including the instructional design of multiple complex tasks for the basic levels of English. The tasks were carefully designed in order to achieve the students' competence of communicating in English at a basic level. The instructional designs included the description of a unit of competence, which describes what students will be able to do at the end of the semester. A performance evidence. Each student or group of students will have to submit. A subcompetence for each task, describing its actions and its purpose, and including a context where students will use the language in a real-life situation. The task complexity, research, and use of ICT. And finally, a set of very precise and specific instructions students will have to follow, which is called scaffolding. At the Language Center in Poza Rica, Veracruz, the task-based learning approach was piloted in a group of students cursing the subject English 1. The first task, regarding personal information, consisted of an oral presentation about a famous person. The second task, regarding a relative's daily routine and a house description, consisted of the elaboration of an informative poster. The integrative task, covering all the units of the course, consisted of the recording of an interview made by students to a person whose job involved the use of English. The task's monitoring was divided in three parts: observation, students' performance evidences, and students' final grades. For the observation process, a notebook was used in order to keep record students' performance during the elaboration of the tasks and the presentation of the final products. It mainly covers aspects about how the use of tasks reinforces the teaching learning process, the students' research process, and the use of the ICT. We also took notes about the instructional design elements and teachers' general reflections and comments. All the students' performance evidence are published at a special weblog. And finally, students' final grades were published at the Language Center. Let's now talk about results. In the first task, all students carried out their oral presentation. Even though the product consisted only of an oral presentation, some students used posters with some keywords or pictures of the famous person they talk about. All students made common grammar mistakes, but most of them were able to communicate in the target language successfully. For the second task, students worked in pairs to elaborate a poster. Only 14 of the 20 students presented the posters to the group on time. There were 7 posters. Most of them contained minor grammar mistakes, but the lack of research and collaborative work was noticeable in a few of them. The integrative task was only submitted for 15 students. Only one pair interviewed the receptionist at a hotel. The other 13 students recorded themselves having a conversation because, as they said, they didn't have time to find a suitable person for the interview because of the big amount of assignments and activities in their faculties and the final exams. The implementation of Proyecto Aula at the Language Center in Poza Rica was an important support for students because 19 from 20 enrolled students passed the course. Only one student didn't pass the course because he didn't present the final examinations. The final oral examination has a worth of 20 points. 15 of the 19 students who presented this examination obtained about 15 points. The final written examination was divided into 3 sections: reading, writing, and listening. It has a worth of 40 points. 15 of the 19 students who presented this exam obtained about 30 points. When we observe students' final grades for English 1, which has a maximum worth of 10 points, it is important to stand out that 78% of the 19 students who presented the final examination obtained a grade above 8. 0 students obtained 6, and 0 students failed. As a conclusion, the use of complex tasks benefited the students' acquisition of the competence to use the language in different contexts, which means they learned in a significant way. The inclusion of oral presentation in the complex tasks increases the ability to communicate in the target language, developing the 4 skills: speaking, reading, writing, and listening. It's really important to continue implementing the Aula philosophy at the Language Center in Costa Rica in order to promote the complex thinking, the research, and the use of ICT in our students, which will help them to develop their learning autonomy. Here you can see the paper's references. Gracias. Grazie tutti. Thank you very much for your attention.